Hi, I'm Andy Jones. Welcome to Art Talk. I'm here in the studio with my friend Stephen White. So this is episode 33 of
That sounds
Art
right.
Talk. Yep. And we are going to be painting ornaments today. So we're going to paint in a little bit of an atmospheric background on here, and then we're going to paint some pine boughs, and then we're going to paint our shiny ornaments. So we're going to get started by putting some white out on our palette. And I'm also going to put out a little bit of Calypso Sky. And I'm going to use a 1-inch flat brush and going to pick up this white and mainly do this down the right-hand side of our surface.
What size canvas are you using?
I don't know the size of it. It was just a framed piece of wall art that I found at Hobby Lobby. So I'm going right next to my ornaments and then just out to the outside edge of the canvas. And I'm just applying a nice generous amount of white. And what I'm going to do is just lay in some of this Calypso Sky in a couple of areas, and then just use the brush in kind of a crisscross blending motion to soften that Calypso Sky into the painting. And if the paint starts to get a little sticky, you can pick up a little bit more white and blend that in. This is just creating a little bit of color in the background of the painting. And none of these backgrounds will ever be the same, so don't try to copy exactly what you see. All right, I might want to put a little bit of color over here, so I'll just pick up some more white and apply that to the canvas. And then I can pick up a little bit of the Calypso Sky and just start to blend that in. All right, and I am happy with this background, so we're going to take a quick pause and dry our background. I'd like to take a minute to thank Plaid Enterprises for sponsoring Art Talk. They are the makers of folk art acrylics, which I absolutely love using. I've used this paint since I was a young tot, and now that I'm an old fart, I still use this paint. We have a 17-piece set that we've curated just for you. Ordering information is in the description below, and we also have great brushes for you. We have a 7-piece set of Folk Art Select Firm Bristle brushes. These are absolutely incredible. I use them every time I paint. And I've never done that in my entire life. Now, let's get back to our video. All right, now that my background is dry, we're going to paint in some pine boughs. So I need to get some green out on my palette. So I'm going to start with sap green, and I'm also going to use a little pure black. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a soft bristle brush this time, and I'm going to pick up some moisture on my brush and kind of make a dark green color from sap green and a little bit of black. Now, Stephen, growing up, did you have live trees or artificial trees for Christmas?
We always had live trees up until a couple years ago. I always looked forward to getting to walk through like the tree farms and getting to pick out one. That was always a lot of fun as a kid.
As a kid, we always had to have a live tree, and we always went to pick our Christmas tree on a day that it was pouring down rain. So
does it happen that way every time?
Every single time. And my mom was very particular about the tree, and so, there was a lot of going from tree lot to find the perfect tree.
In the rain the whole time?
In the rain, yes, every time. I'll never forget when Mom decided that she could go with an artificial tree. It was like shocking.
That's how I felt too.
All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just tapping the bristles up and down on the palette to kind of separate the brush. And what I will get are lots of little little kind of lines all at once because I'm using the flat brush for this. And I'm going to just pick an area and start next to my ornament and just kind of start and flick out. And you can see how we get these great little lines. And I'm going to do another one kind of where these two ornaments are resting together. And down here we'll do another one. And you shouldn't need to put much more paint on the brush once you get your brush loaded and get it to make some of these little marks. Okay, now we're going to let these dry, and it shouldn't take but a moment for them to dry. And I'm going to take like a 3/4 inch flat brush and load half the brush with my dark green mixture, and the other half of the brush should have nothing in it. And when I go right next to my ornament, this will provide a little bit of an anchoring for all of this greenery that we've got on here. So this just adds a little bit of an anchor to our pine boughs.
Do you feel like you tend to end up painting ornaments every year?
It seems every year I do paint some ornaments. And I remember my grandmother used to have like just a box with just all sorts of assorted ornaments in it. And she had lots of the original shiny brights in there. But she also had the kind of the original bubble lights. They were these plastic lights that you kind of had to clip on the tree, and they had like a clear glass test tube. And when the light would heat up, it would cause the water in the tube to kind of bubble and boil. Yeah, so I'm sure not safe at all.
That's what I was thinking in the back of my mind.
And it was just, one of those things. Every year you dragged out those bubble lights. Now they make them, they've got, a retro set of bubble lights, but, it's not the same as living on the edge with the original, very hazardous ornaments. All right, so now I'm going to take a liner brush and we're going to paint some individual pine boughs. And again, using the sap green and a little tiny bit of pure black. And we're going to thin our paint down to get it a nice flowing consistency. And we're going to just add individual little pine boughs. And you don't have to add too many of these because we already have what looks like a lot of little individual little pine needles because of that trick we used with our flat brush when we started. Okay, so I think that's good enough for the kind of illusion of a Christmas tree that we've got going on. And now let's start with our ornaments. So I'm going to paint the blue ornament first because that's behind both of the bright pink ornaments. All right, and some of you are going to say that there's no way that you can paint something that's round, and I assure you, you can. You just have to take it nice and slow and make sure that you get a nice clean edge around the outside of your ornament. Oh, and now that we've got our blue ornament painted, we're going to put some bright pink out on our palette. And I'll take a nice 3/4 inch flat brush and we'll start painting in our pink ornaments.
We've talked about this before, but is there a Christmas movie that you watch every year? Well, I know that mine is Jingle All the Way because it's ridiculous.
Oh, I know what we watch. As a family, we have to watch Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, I think that was what you told me.
Yep. And my mom and stepdad sit there and laugh like they've never seen the movie before. And of course, we watch Beethoven's Christmas.
That makes a lot of sense too.
We're such a predictable family. Just work neatly and carefully. to undercoat these ornaments. Okay, now we need to dry these ornaments so that we can give them all a second coat. We have got our ornaments undercoated and they are now dry. So we're going to start by applying shading on this back ornament, this little blue ornament here, and we're going to shade it with some Prussian blue. So I'm going to dampen my brush and blot the excess off on a shop towel. All right, so now I'm going to side load my brush with this Prussian blue, and we're going to apply the shading in 2 stages. One, we're going to shade where the ornament is just kind of resting behind the other 2, and then we're going to put the dark kind of crescent shaped shading on. So we're going to start with the shading that goes kind of where this ornament's just hanging out underneath the other 2. Alright, so we've got that little shading on there, and we need to do some here at the bottom. So again, dip my brush in water, blot it on my shop towel, and pick up Prussian blue just on one corner of the brush, and we'll add this little shading right behind the ornament here. Okay, so we need to let this dry so that we don't mess up either part of this shading. Now that that is dry, we're going to put a nice kind of crescent shape shadow on this ornament, and it's done again with the Prussian blue loaded on the big 3/4 inch flat brush, and it's going to basically kind of follow the outline of the ornament. So that's with the water toward the outside of the ornament, and then we're going to flip the brush over and apply this shading with the water on the inside of the ornament. And you could see where we didn't mess up either one of those shadows with this little crescent shape. Now I need to dry this, and we're going to come back and strengthen it. And we need to strengthen it because we need this shadow to be very, very dark. And we simply pat this out, moving it toward the inside of the ornament. Okay, and that's our shading on the blue ornament. So let's grab another brush and let's put out some true burgundy on our palette. And we can also go ahead and put out some dioxazine purple. All right, so I'm going to dampen my brush, blot it on my shop towel, and pick up true burgundy, and we're going to blend that into the brush so that it's just on one half of the brush, and the color kind of fades as it moves across the brush. And we're going to just establish a nice crescent shaped shadow on this ornament. And I did that with the water toward the outside of the ornament, just like we did on the blue ornament. And now we're going to put the water toward the inside and just pat that shading in, and we'll just let this trail out to a nice crescent shape. And we'll repeat that step on this lower ornament. It almost looks black on there. All right, so I've got a little true burgundy in my brush. Pick up some dioxazine purple, work that in, and we're going to apply that down the center of this crescent-shaped shadow. And Stephen, when you were growing up, was there any particular thing that signaled like the start of the holiday season for your family?
For me, it was right after Halloween ends. I think it's like that for a lot of people too.
Well, ours was when Mom started the Christmas music with Johnny Mathis' Christmas album.
I'll let you guys in on some Plaid secrets. They start the Christmas music here very early. I'm talking November 1st, and you guys might be like that too, but I know when I walk into the office on November 1st, I'm hearing Mariah Carey.
All right, so now we've got our shadows on all of our ornaments, and we can start by developing the highlight on this little back ornament. And I'm going to do that by picking up some white and mixing that in with some Calypso Sky. And I want this to be light, but I don't want it to be too light to start out with. So I'm going to take some of the excess paint off of my brush. And we're just going to work a little bit of a highlight in to this area over here opposite my shadow. And we'll lighten that color with some more white and apply that within that initial highlight and just let that kind of flare out. And I should let this dry a little bit more, but we're going to risk it, and I'm going to pick up some more white and see if I can just put a little bit of a glint on that ornament. There we go. All right, so we'll wipe our brush off, and we're going to add some pink accents on here because this ornament would reflect pink. So I'll take a little bit of my bright pink on my brush that I just had those highlight colors in, and we'll see how I can just dry brush a little bit of this kind of pink color on. I can start right at the outside edge of the ornament and brush that in. And we can add another little bit of this kind of pink accent right there. Just kind of touch it and let it brush out. And I'll add another little bit of pink up here. It's a little too light, so we'll add a little bit more bright pink to that. There we go. Alright, so that's one ornament done. Now, let's add a little bit of some Calypso Sky accents to our big ornament up here. Start right at the outside edge, and we'll just kind of scrub this on and let that just soften back up onto our shadow area there. And inside that, I'm adding a little bit stronger Calypso Sky. Now, were you a Charlie Brown Christmas or How the Grinch Stole Christmas kid?
I was a Grinch kid.
I was a Grinch kid too.
Charlie Brown for me was for Halloween with the Great Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last episode.
Yeah.
And then the Christmas was strictly for the Grinch.
Yes. And I'm assuming you were 100% in the animated camp and not the live action movie camp.
Yeah, that is the case for me.
I'm glad to hear that, Stephen, because I am not the live action Grinch person either. All right, so I'm going to make a little bit of a purple mix here with my Calypso Sky and my bright pink. And take some off on my shop towel. And I'm going to put a nice accent over here on the left side of this ornament. And let some of that come up onto the shadow, just like we did up here on the big ornament. Can make that a little bigger. All right, now we'll add some more Calypso Sky to our brush. And we'll brush another little accent on here. And we can put another little accent up here. So just intensifying these little accents that we put on. Okay, let's wipe our brush out really well. And we'll pick up some bright pink. And we're going to just try to neutralize our brush by picking up the pink and wiping it out. And so now we can take our bright pink and a little bit of white and lighten this color up. Take the excess off on our shop towel. And we can start to develop some pink highlights on our ornament. Just put this color on sparsely and then kind of let it flare out. And we'll add some more white to this mixture. And again, start where you want that highlight to be the brightest. Apply your color there and let it flare out. We'll lighten again with more white. And then we'll come back and add a strong glint of white. Okay, and now our ornaments are basically done. Might come back and add a little bit of a light pink accent up here on this ornament. Okay, that's better. Now then, we need to paint the cap on this little shiny bright ornament, and we're going to start that with a little bit of yellow ochre. And so we're going to just undercoat the whole ornament cap with yellow ochre. Okay, and we'll need to dry this. And now that that's dry, we can put out a little bit of metallic gold, and we can kind of just go over this yellow ochre with the metallic gold, and that will give us a nice kind of metallic sheen. And then to shade this, we're going to use a little bit of true burgundy and a tiny bit of black picked up on the same side of the brush. And we'll add this kind of shadow on the top of the cap. And then we can come down the left side of the cap and add a little bit of this kind of shading at the bottom of the ornament cap. And we can add some more of our metallic gold, and that gives us a nice little ornament cap on here. And we need to dry this. We are going to cheat with our little ornament cap here because we need to put a delicate little wire on our painting. So I'm using a permanent waterproof marker, and I'm going to just start kind of in the center of this cap and just draw a broken circle onto the ornament. It doesn't have to be complete. And then to hang the ornament, I'm going to use a T-square, line that up with the bottom of my canvas and about the center of my ornament wire. And this will make sure that I'm square to the painting. Draw a line up the painting. And that is how we finish up our shiny bright ornament painting. I hope you've enjoyed today's edition of Art Talk, and I want to let you know that if you liked today's video, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time we drop a new video. We have a YouTube Art Talk kit that the link will be in the description box below. Be sure to leave a comment. That really does help us. We like to hear what you think about our videos, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.